If you have cash saved up that's not earning any sort of interest, then your hard-earned money is in fact losing value to inflation. But don't worry, because if you park your money in one of the 4 places I'm going to mention throughout this video, you could earn up to a 6% yield. And depending on how much money you have saved, you could easily earn hundreds to even thousands of dollars more in the near future just by a few clicks of a button. Just be aware that these options are not investments where you can build long-term wealth from, but they're more so an opportunity for you to put your cash somewhere for the short term to earn interest. For example, let's say you're currently saving to buy a car, or go on a future vacation, or even plan to put in a down payment for a house in the near future. This video will put you in the right direction to improve your own finances. So with that said, let's start off with the first one, which is a high yield savings account. Alright, so currently the national average savings account in the US earns a 0.58% APY, which APY stands for annual percentage yield, and that is the yield you are expected to earn on your cash over a full year. This is really important to understand because if you have your money sitting in a traditional savings account, many of them are literally giving out returns that are so small that you wouldn't even notice you're earning interest. So to further resolve this issue, that is the reason for the creation of high yield savings accounts, which are pretty much the same as a regular savings account, but you can earn much more interest when you use them. For example, I recently made a video on the best high yield savings accounts of 2024, and if you choose any of the ones within that video, they all range between 4 to 5.5% of interest that you could earn. Think of it like this: if you had $10,000 in a Chase savings account that earns you 0.01% interest, then you would earn a mega $1 after a full year of time, which nowadays isn't even enough to buy something at the dollar store. Whereas with a high yield savings account, if you used one like SoFi that earns a 4.6% yield, that means that after a full year, you would earn $460 if the rate were to stay the same, and all it takes is a couple minutes of your time to open up an account and get started. Now, a high yield savings account is great for many short-term positions, with a popular one being an emergency fund because it allows your money to earn interest while having instant access to the cash if needed. For those curious, an ideal emergency fund consists of 3 to 6 months of your living expenses and is something everyone should aim to have. Don't think that's a big deal? Well, a study found that 57% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency expense. And even worse, 68% of Americans couldn't cover their living expenses even for a month if they lost their job. Besides that, a high yield savings account is FDIC insured, which means the government will protect your money in case the bank fails, up to $250,000. So as I said, a pro to high yield savings accounts is that your money is extremely liquid, meaning that you have instant access to your cash at any time you need it. Something else to remember is the rates you earn with high yield savings accounts can fluctuate at any time, and that can change based on the economic conditions. And based on the one you select, they should show in fine print, if you look for it, how exactly they calculate and pay out the interest, and for the most part, many of the accounts will automatically apply a daily interest rate. This means that the interest is compounded daily, but you will not see this because the actual interest that is getting paid into your account is going to be monthly, not every day. So although there's not a guaranteed fixed rate over a specific period of time, the positive side is that you have instant access to this cash where you can withdraw whenever you'd like, and you at least are earning more interest than a traditional savings account. Besides that, something to be aware of is that some of these accounts may require a minimum amount or other rules that you have to follow in order to earn the interest. For example, CIT Bank requires a minimum balance of $5,000 or more, and if you are below that, your earnings drop from 5.05% to 0.25%. Or with SoFi, you need to set up a direct deposit to get their 4.6% APY, but depending on how much you deposit, they're one of the only ones to offer a cash bonus for signing up, which can be up to $325 when you use my link in the description below. I've also created a free savings account master sheet that covers everything you need to know about savings accounts, which if you want to check that out, I'll have linked in the description below. With that said, let's now move on to the second option, that is money market funds. Money market funds have got a ton of attention lately as they continue to break record highs with their total assets currently passing $6 trillion. For those that don't know, a money market fund is a type of mutual fund that invests into short-term instruments like US Treasuries, CDs, and other debt securities. Now, because this is a type of mutual fund, the only place that you can own them is through a brokerage firm like Fidelity or Vanguard, which a popular one I've previously discussed on my channel is the Fidelity Government Money Market Fund SPACs that is currently yielding an annual 4.96%. As you probably noticed, it says 7-day yield. That yield is just a generic method used for estimating the annualized yield, so sadly enough, you don't earn 5% over 7 days. And just to clarify, that yield includes all the expenses like the 0.42% expense ratio shown. Now with money market funds, the interest you earn is based on the amount you own each day and is generally paid on the last business day of each month. And because of current economic conditions, the yields are much higher than normal, and as you can see in previous times, the yield for this money market fund was nearly 0%. Something else to be aware of with money market funds is that they are considered investments and not savings, so they are not considered FDIC insured. And understand that just because they're considered investments does not mean they're good for building wealth. In fact, the key reason for a money market fund is that you either recently sold stock or deposited money into the account, where you can now earn some interest while thinking about your next investment purchase. So with money market funds, you can place your money into them whenever you want, or another convenient option that brokerages like Fidelity and Vanguard offer is to have it as a core position on your account. This core position is where any uninvested cash is held, so you can think of that as a normal cash position, but now that position currently earns interest in the meantime. So besides that, there are three main types that consist of government, prime, and municipal money market funds. For example, I have that Fidelity Government Money Market Fund SPACs as my core position on Fidelity. I will say if you are interested in learning more about money market funds, I've created an entire video in great detail that I highly recommend you check out that is linked in the description below. Which while you're at it, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for future videos like this. So the high yield savings accounts and money market funds I've just covered, they both do not guarantee a fixed rate over a specific period of time, where the next two do, and the first one I'll mention is Treasury bills. Now, Treasury bills are short-term debt securities that are issued by the U.S. Treasury, and although they're not FDIC insured, they are backed by the U.S. government, which is why the risk is still considered to be very low. Now, Treasury bills have what they call maturities, which in my simple terms is the lifespan of the investment. And the exact options of what you could consider purchasing could be 4, 8, 13, 17, 26, and 52-week periods. And unlike Treasury notes and bonds, which are the longer-term treasuries, with Treasury bills, you're not going to get any sort of coupon payments, which are also known as interest payments, that you're going to be getting throughout the time of owning the Treasury. But the main concept with Treasury bills is that you're pretty much giving the government a short-term loan. They're going to use it to their best benefit, but then they're going to pay you back with the amount of interest that you should earn at the end of that length of time. Because I know this can get confusing, especially if you're a beginner, here is a simple overview of how exactly a Treasury bill works. Let's say you purchase a $1,000 Treasury bill with a 52-week maturity that yields 5%. That 5% is known as the discount rate. It's named that because you are going to discount that percentage from the initial $1,000, which is also known as the face value. So for this example, you will initially pay $950, and when the Treasury bill matures after that full year, you will receive $1,000 back. And so that $50 is called the interest you earn. So if you haven't purchased Treasury bills before, you could do this through the government's website called Treasury Direct, or through a brokerage firm like Fidelity or Vanguard, which I think is a bit easier and more convenient. I've also created more videos on Treasury bills in great detail, so I'm just going to leave all the relevant content that I believe you could benefit from in a category in the description with links to each one. But a nice perk about T-bills is that although you do have to pay federal taxes, you are exempt from state or local taxes. So if you're in a high-tax state like California, this would be even better for you. Now, the crazy part about the economy right now is that the yield curve is inverted, which means that the yields you're getting on short-term bonds are actually giving out higher yields than the long-term ones. For example, currently on Fidelity, you can get a 1-month T-bill at close to 5.4%, where with a 1 year it is lowered to 5.16%, and then say you want a 30-year Treasury bond, that rate would be locked in at 4.46%. The Treasury bill options are intriguing to me because you can get that fixed rate and guarantee it over the next year, where a high yield savings account or money market fund may change very soon. But if you want to try out one other option that would give you a fixed rate over a specific length of time, this one might interest you, and that is CDs. And for the record, I'm not talking about Michael Jackson CDs. The CDs I'm talking about stands for Certificate of Deposits, and these are a type of savings tool where you can get a guaranteed interest rate over a fixed period of time, and you can purchase CDs through banks, credit unions, and even brokerage firms like Vanguard and Fidelity. The nice part about CDs is that for most cases, they are going to be FDIC insured up to $250,000 per account you own them through. Now, if you're one looking to get the max 6% yield that I have on the thumbnail, then there are two options that you can get that from using CDs. The first is Financial Partners Credit Union, where you can lock in that rate for 8 months if you deposit between $1,000 minimum and only up to $5,000 of a maximum. Or you can check out Desert Rivers Credit Union that has a 1-month super CD at 6% if you have $500 minimum. But the most significant thing I've noticed is that after a 1-year period, at least on Fidelity, is that CDs pass treasuries in the rate you can earn, which, as you can see, a 10-year CD can get you close to a fixed 5% rate. But a drawback with CDs is that if you have to withdraw early, you are going to have to pay a fee. The penalty fee for CDs depends on the term length, but typically you could lose out on months of interest that is already earned if you withdraw early. As you can see from select banks, an early withdrawal of a CD could cost you between 60 days to even a full 18 months of interest. So if you're someone that doesn't want to take the chances, you could get CDs that have no penalties if you think you're going to withdraw early. But the disadvantages with no penalty fee CDs is that you're going to get a lower rate, and they also come in shorter term lengths, with most typically being under 13 months. Now, there's much more that I could talk about CDs and even the other 3 places that I've mentioned in this video, but I didn't want to make it super long, so if you have any questions or any future ideas for content, let me know in the comment section below. And then just looking at the difference between treasury bills and CDs, one of them is the fact that CDs, you do have to pay state and federal taxes. Alright, so now that you know 4 of the best places to park your cash, I'm going to go over a quick breakdown of when it would be best to utilize each option. Let's first say you want to start an emergency fund that consists of 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. The account that may be best suitable for you would be a high yield savings account due to its high liquidity and the ability to earn more interest than a traditional savings account, and the fact you don't have to pay fees from any withdrawals. For the second example, let's say you think the market's about to collapse, so you sell your riskier, more speculated investments, and you now currently have that cash sitting. For this case, a money market fund would be ideal due to its convenience, high liquidity, and its ability to, at least right now, earn solid interest. The third example, let's say you're saving up for a down payment on a house that you want to make sure you're guaranteed interest over a specific period of time. The answer here would be either CDs or treasury bills. A comparison to think even deeper is that if you're in a state with high state taxes, a treasury bill may be the better choice, or if you have a couple years until you need the cash, a CD could be a great option. Although the 4 options I've mentioned in this video provide similar returns, they still differ in many ways, and the best part about all this is that you are aware of it and you can take action going forward depending on your position. If you found value in this content, I highly recommend you check out my other free resources that I have linked in the description below. And if you want to sign up for SoFi, which is the high yield savings account where you can right now earn 4.6% of an APY, get up to $325 of a cash bonus, check out the link I have in the description below. And as always, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notifications button for future content like this.